Hey, what's going on YouTube? So today I'm going to showcase my endgame Bobo Warden build updated for the Necrom and Update 39 DLC patch. This build is capable of pulling over 121k on the parse dummy and is viable and tailored for group content. As with all endgame builds, it will be a group focused build that revolves around using trial or best in slot gear, so it's not a beginner or solo friendly build. Furthermore, please use these builds as a baseline as different situations and scenarios will require different gear sets and skills. With that being said, here we go. So as per usual, starting off in the character sheet, I have 64 points in stamina and I'm running the Thief Mundus. For the race, because we are a stamina build, we are going Dark Elf. Dark Elves have some of the best passives for stamina DPS. For the food, you have a few different options, but RTM Takeaway Broth is probably the best bet for the recovery, health, and stam. A cheaper and almost a good alternative would be Dubious Camera on Throne. And lastly, if you're parsing or need more sustain, then Lava Food Soup and Salt Rice is always the go-to. So for parsing, I also recommend running green food. You should probably be able to sustain it because of the balance between mag and stam skills. For the potions, we're just going to keep it super simple and run Essence of Weapon Power. Reason being is we don't have access to these buffs through our skills, so we're going to get the most benefit out of running those potions. Moving on to CP, for the blue tree, we're going to be running Exploiter, Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, and Wrathful Strikes. Swap out Exploiter for crit damage CP, such as Fighting Finesse or Backstabber if you need more crit damage. For the red tree, we're just running the standard Rejuvenation, Fortified, and Boundless Vitality. Celerity is your flex spot, swap this out for whatever you may need. So for the gear, we're going to be running a standard setup with 5-piece Pillar, 5-piece Rally, Masters on the back bar, and Velothi. So starting off in the main hand, we have a charged Pillar Nern Bow with a flame damage enchant. On the back bar, we're running an infused Master's Perfected Bow with the increased weapon and spell damage enchant. For the head slot, we're running a medium Slime Crawl in Divines with max stam enchant. For 4 pieces of the body, we're running Reliquin, all in Divines with max stam enchants. And for 1 piece of the body, so the legs for this slot, we're running Divines with max stam, Pillar Nern Guards, and 2 pieces of Pillar Nern Jewelry to make up the 5-piece. The jewelry is going to be Bloodthirsty with weapon and spell damage enchants. And for the necklace, we're running Velothi instead of Harpooners. This is going to be Bloodthirsty with a weapon and spell damage enchant. And for the skills, we're going to be running Subterranean Assault. Cast this every 6 seconds or after every 5 skill casts after Subterranean Assault. This is our strongest hitting skill. Lethal Arrow is going to be our spammable. Cutting Dive is a dot from Animal Companion. Does okay damage, and most importantly gives us access to the passives. Barbed Trap, because hemorrhaging is really strong. Even though we get minor force from Velothi, this actually does really good damage. Camo Hunter, this is just a flex spot, you can run whatever, but I found Camo Hunter to be the best. Wild Guardian, our barrel, because it hits hard. On the back bar, running Endless Hail, standard bow dot. Winner's Revenge, this is from the Warden class skill line. This is a good dot as well, and also procs a decent amount of chilled. Poison Injection, because we're running Masters, and a good dot. Fetcher Infection from the Animal Companion, this is a strong dot. And Arctic Blast, this is an okay damage skill. On top of that, has a really good chance of proccing chilled, and is also a good heal. And we're double barring Wild Guardian so we don't lose access to our pet when we bar swap. For the rotation, we're going to be running a dynamic rotation, meaning we're going to be casting skills as soon as they fall off. So just prioritize your Subterranean Assault, cast that, and then cast 5 skills after. The priority for the dynamic rotation is going to be Poison Injection, Endless Hail, Winner's Revenge, Fetcher Infection, Barbed Trap, Cutting Dive, and Arctic Blast. To fill in the gaps, use your spammable Lethal Arrow, and then whenever your barreled or Wild Guardian is ready, just use that. You can also buff with Northern Storm for a little bit extra DPS. And also I'm going to include a static rotation this time. So it's broken down into 3 rows, row A, row B, and row C. Row A is your 10-second dots or close to 10 seconds. So this is going to be Endless Hail, Cutting Dive, and Winner's Revenge. So row A would be Subterranean Assault, Endless Hail, Cutting Dive, Winner's Revenge, and 2 casts of Lethal Arrow. And then row B is going to be Subterranean Assault, Fetcher Infection, Barbed Trap, Arctic Blast, and 2 Lethal Arrows. So these dots are the 20-second dots, and then row C is just going to be Subterranean Assault into 5 Lethal Arrows or your spammable phase. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to run row A and row B together, and then row A and row C. and then just go back to doing A plus B and A plus C. So basically you're just alternating between B and C after row A. And then the same old Wild Guardian in place of Lethal Arrow whenever it's ready, and then you can pre-buff with Northern Storm. So for closing thoughts, we dropped Harpooners because we are at crit cap, and Velothi is just a better DPS increase. On top of that, it gives you the luxury of being able to miss a few light attacks and really not affect your DPS as much. Did swap out Black Rose Prison Bow for Masters in case you do want to play up close or at range. If you do play at range, it's not too big of a deal because the only skill you can't really use is Barbed Trap, but you do get Minor Force from Velothi, so you're just losing out on a little bit of damage. And you're not going to get the damage from Arctic Blast, but you still can benefit from the heal. For this video, I did test out a few different gear sets, but Onsol is probably going to be the easiest set to run. And you can literally run Onsol anywhere, so it'd be a good replacement for Reliquin. You do lose about 5 to 6k DPS, which isn't too big of a deal, considering that there is really no proc condition. And you do get a DPS increase when you do interrupt, so that's always a positive. But some other gear alternatives you can run, Soulzan is still good if you can access a Vengeful Soul or just an enemy dying every 30 seconds. Coral Riptide may be hard to sustain, but with green food it might be possible. Venomous Smite and Briarheart are two solid sets you can still run, and an easier to acquire gear setup would probably be Order's Wrath and Hunting's Rage. And I think that wraps it up. As always, thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, or better yet, come join our Discord. Link is in the description. I will have a written guide linked in the description for those who would prefer that instead. And as always, thank you to my YouTube members. If you want to help me support my content creation, please consider becoming a member. And as always, thanks again, and see you in the next one.